some more word problems. These are mixture problems. The next few sections, they're going to have something very much in common. Mixture problems. Suppose you want a 12-pound mixture of peanuts and cashews. Peanuts and cashews. Okay. Suppose the peanuts cost $4 a pound. Peanuts cost $4 per pound, while the cashews cost twice as much. Cost $8 per pound. But now, you only have $60. You only have $60. So here's the deal. You're having this party, and for one reason or another, you decide you must get 12 pounds of nuts. You need 12 pounds of nuts. But you only have $60. $60 divided by 12 pounds. Well, 12 goes into 60 5 times. So you want $5 per pound. You want a $5 per pound mixture. How many pounds of each do you buy? Okay. So this is a realistic problem. You have this job and your boss wants you to buy the peanuts for an upcoming party. And your boss says, look, you need to buy 12 pounds. I've been doing this party for the last 300 years, and every year we bought 12 pounds, and you won't believe it, but it was the exact right amount. One year we bought 13 pounds, and we had a pound left over. Another year, we bought less than 12 pounds, and it wasn't enough. So the question is, how many pounds of each do you buy? So let P equal the number of pounds of peanuts that you buy. Now, we're going to call something else the number of pounds of cashew nuts that you buy. And what should that be? Well, you're buying 12 pounds. You should think of it like this, nice and smoothly. You're going to get all 12 pounds of cashews less the number of pounds of peanuts you bought. You have peanuts, you have cashews. You're going to buy a 12-pound mixture. If you buy 2 pounds of peanuts, or how many pounds of cashews do you buy? Or how do you compute how many you buy? And the answer is you compute 12 minus 2, 10. If you bought 7 pounds of peanuts, how do you figure out how many pounds of cashews to buy? 12 minus 7. If you bought 11 pounds of peanuts, how do you figure out how many pounds of cashews to buy? 11. Hopefully you're seeing a pattern. Under cashews, I keep seeing 12 minus. And then I'm confused. I see these random looking numbers. 2, 7, 11. Oh my! They're coming from here. 2, 7, and 11. That is, on the next line, regardless of what I write under peanuts, I know it's going to be 12 minus. And whatever I put in this box, say I put, suppose I put P, then it's going to be 12 minus P. If I buy 12 pounds of peanuts, then I buy 12 minus P pounds of cashews. And for the record, if you add these up, if you have 12 minus P and you add P back, you get 12. Okay, so all the 12 pounds goes to the cashews minus the number of pounds of peanuts, which is P. 12 minus P. Now here's the pattern that's going to keep coming up. How do you, now let me just have it in front of me. The price for peanuts is $4 a pound. So how do you figure out what 7 pounds cost? You multiply 4 by 7. How do you figure out what 3 pounds cost? You multiply 4 times 3. How much would be 11 pounds of peanuts? Multiply 4 times 11. What would be the value? What would be the cost of P pounds of peanuts? 4 times P. Our cost is the result of adding two things. You have the cost of the peanuts plus the cost of the cashew nuts, and this is going to equal the total cost. The total cost. Well, the cost of the peanuts. You are buying P pounds of peanuts, and you multiply that by 4 to find the cost. If P was 7, how much does the peanuts cost? If you're buying 7 pounds of peanuts, it's going to be 4 times 7, $28. You're buying 11 pounds of peanuts, it's 4 times 11. It's going to be 4 times the number of pounds. It's the price times the number of pounds. The price for the cashews per pound is $8. And how many are you buying? I don't care if it's strange looking. You are buying 12 minus P of them. And in the end, you are buying 12 pounds and they cost $5 each. You want a mixture that is $5 a pound. And you are buying 12 pounds. So you are living up to your budget of $60. Okay, there is your equation. Let me erase the words on top, and we are going to solve this equation. For P plus 8 times 12 take away P, and this should equal 5 times 12. This should equal 5 times 12. So you have for P, positive 8 times 12 is positive 96. Positive 8 times negative P is negative 8P, and this is equal to 5 times 12 or 60. With respect to the left side, 4P and 8P are alike. 4 minus 8 is negative 4P plus 96. This is equal to 60. So I'll take away 96 from both sides. The right-hand side will be negative 36. The left-hand side is negative 4P. If two quantities are equal, like negative 7 is equal to negative 7, If you change their signs, they're still equal. If you come to know that negative x is negative 4, then x is equal to 4. If you come to know that negative x is 11, that is positive 11, change this sign, change positive 11 to negative 11. Change, change. 4 times p, 36. P is 9. The number of pounds of peanuts is 9. And the number of pounds of cashews were 12 minus p. 12 minus 9 is 3. So you buy 9 pounds of peanuts, 3 pounds of cashew nuts. And we need to make sure that this is working. Maybe we made a mistake. The number of pounds should add up to 12. The number of pounds should add up to 12. And they do. 3 plus 9 is 12. But there's a lot of numbers that add up to 12. 1 and 11, 0 and 12, 2 and 10, 3 and 9, 11 and 1, 4 and a half, and I guess 7 and a half. There's many numbers that add up to 12. So that's not a complete check. We were told that you're buying 12 pounds and that the cost per pound should be $5. That is, the cost should be $60. $5 per pound times 12 pounds, $60. Well, the cost of the peanuts was $4. 9 pounds times $4, $36. The cost for the cashews were $8. 3 pounds by $8, that's $24. And when I add them up, I get $60. Well, if I take my $60 and I divide it by 12 pounds, 12 goes into 65 pounds, 5 times. What do you know? I get $5 per pound. I wanted a mixture, $5 a pound. That's what I wanted, that's what I got. There's no way this is wrong. There's no way this is wrong. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, this time you want a total of 9 pounds of peanuts and cashews. For $45. Total cost must be $45. Again, you're having this party, you only have $45, and less people are coming, so you only need 9 pounds. How much of each do you get? And this time, the peanuts cost $7 a pound. They went up. And the cashews, they went down. $4 a pound. Okay, let's play games with the prices. Question is, how many pounds of peanuts do you buy? How many pounds of cashews do you buy? So, let P equal the number of pounds of peanuts you buy. Now, you're buying a total of 9 pounds. So, what is the number of pounds of cashew nuts you buy? Well, they're going to be all cashew nuts. minus the number of pounds of peanuts you bought. If you bought 3 pounds of peanuts, then you can only buy 6 pounds of cashew nuts. How did you do that? 9 minus 6. If you bought 5 pounds of peanuts, how do you figure out how many pounds of cashews you buy? 9 minus 5. It's always 9 minus the number of pounds of peanuts you bought. Well, I told you how many pounds of peanuts we bought. We're buying 5. Okay, so now that I have the variables set, I multiply the number of pounds of peanuts I buy by the cost of peanuts, which is 7. 7p is the amount of money I'm spending in peanuts, plus how much money am I spending on cashew nuts? Well, I'm buying this number of pounds, and they cost $4 a pound. This sum is my bill. And that bill is supposed to be a total of $45. So 7p, positive 4 times 9 is positive 36. Positive 4 times negative p is negative 4p. And this is equal to 35. 7p minus 4p is 3p. 3p is some number. It has nothing to do with 3's or p's. Make believe nothing's in the circle. Some number plus 36 is 45. 9 plus 36 is 45. 3p must be 9. Well, if 3 times some number is 9, that number, which we're calling p, must be 3. So the number of cashew nuts you buy is 3, and the number of peanuts you buy is 3 pounds, and 9 minus p, that is 9 minus 3, is 6. That's the number of cashew nuts you buy. The number of pounds of cashew nuts you buy. Now, let's make sure that this is working. Make sure we're buying 9 pounds, and the cost is $45. Well, 3 plus 6 is 9. 3 plus 6 is 9. That's the check. Peanuts cost $7 a pound. 3 pounds, 3 times 7, 21. Cashews cost $4 a pound. You're buying 6 pounds. 6 times 4 is 24. If you add these, you do get to 45. Now, this problem is rock solid. We have no error in it. You have to check both. The number of pounds must be correct, must be 9, and the dollar amount must be correct, namely 45 in this problem. Let's try another one. You have $3.20 in nickels, dimes, and quarters. And you're given some comparison. If, let's see, if there are 7 more dimes than quarters, and 3 times as many nickels as dimes. 3 as quarters. 3 times as many nickels as quarters. Now here is a very important observation. The nickels and dimes are being compared to the quarters. That is why I'm going to say let Q equal the number of quarters. So what are we going to call the number of dimes? You have 7 more dimes than quarters. Well, I take the number of quarters and I add 7 to it. That's 7 more than the number of quarters. The number of dimes is 7 more than the number of quarters. This is 7 more than the number of quarters, and it's the number of dimes. The number of nickels now, what do I write for that? The number of nickels. I have 3 times as many nickels as quarters. So if I have Q quarters, I have 3 times that for nickels. If I have 4 quarters, I have 3 times 4, 12 nickels. Multiply the quarters by 3, and you get the number of nickels. So here are my variables. Now, what you have to understand is, so I'm going to call the value of a quarter 25. That is 25 cents. I'm going to call the value of a dime 10. It is 10 cents. I'm not going to do 0.25 and 0.10 and 0.05. It is I'm doing everything in pennies. This is an important concept. I'm doing everything in pennies. How much money do I have in quarters? You take the number of quarters you have, whether it be 3 or 9 or 50. In our case, it's cute. You take the number of quarters you have, and you multiply it by 25. You have 3 quarters, 25 times 3 will be 75 cents. This is the amount of money you have in quarters. How much money you have in dimes? I don't care how strange these quantities look. But Q plus 7 is the number of dimes I have. If you have 8 dimes, how do you figure out how many cents you have? 8 times 10, you have 80 cents. You have 4 dimes, 4 times, well, let me say 10 first. 10 times 4 is 40 cents. You have Q plus 7 dimes. 10 times Q plus 7 will be the amount of money you have in quarters, in dimes. In cents, not in dollars, not in millions of dollars, not in Hershey bars, not in centimeters, but cents. How much money do you have in nickels? Well, you have this number of nickels and you multiply it by 5. If you add this up, you'll find out how much money you have in cents. Why am I drilling on this cent stuff? Because $3.2 or $3.20 is not in cents. How many cents is that? Well, $1, that's 100 cents. A second dollar, that's 100 cents. We have $3. A third dollar, that's 100 cents. And $0.2, $0.20, well, that's 20 cents. You add the left side, $3.20. The right side, 320 cents. That is $3.20 is 320 cents. We're doing everything in cents. That way we don't have any decimals. That's why we're doing that. This is equal to 320 cents. And that's our equation. Just like before, we took the number of pounds and we multiplied it by its weight. That is the price per pound. Now we're taking the number of dimes and quarters and nickels and multiplying it by its value. And multiplying the number of quarters by 3, the number of dimes by 10, the number of nickels by 5. So this here is 25Q. Positive 10 times 7 is positive 10Q. Positive 10 times positive 7 is positive 70. And plus 5 times 3 is 15 times Q is 15Q. And this is 320. Well, 25Q plus 15Q is 40Q plus 10 more. Why, that's 50Q plus 70. And this is equal to 320. You should know that 250 plus 70 is 320. Just think about it. What number, when you add 70 to it, will give you 320? What number goes here? So when you add 0, you would write 0 down. The answer is 0. What number would you write here? So when you add 7, you would put a 2 down. The answer is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. Bring down the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 gives you 3. 250. You want to take away 70 from both sides? Fine. I'd rather add than subtract any day. 250. 50 times Q is 250. You can easily divide by 10. 5 Q's are 25. So how many Q's do you have? 5. That's the number of quarters. The number of dimes was Q plus 7. 5, remember Q is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. That's the number of dimes. The number of nickels was 3Q. Well, if Q is 5, 3Q is 15. Now, we have to make sure it lives up to everything. The number of dimes is supposed to be 7 more than the number of quarters. Well, yeah, this number, the number of dimes is 7 more than 5. The number of nickels should be 3 times the number of quarters. Yeah, 3 times 5 is 15. But I could have written a lot of numbers like that. Q plus 7, and 3Q. I can say Q is 10, so that's 17, and that's 30. This number is 7 more than 10, and this number in the bottom is 3 times 10. Okay, and that would live up to what I wanted as well. But it wouldn't live up to my having $3.20. If you have 5 quarters, you have $1.25. If you have 12 dimes, you have $1.20. And if you have 15 nickels, you have $0.75. And if you add them up, which I'll do right over here, 1.25, 1.20, 0.75. 10, 2, 4, 5, and 7 is 12. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3. Oh my, look at this. Look at this. $3.20. So it checked. It's rock solid. There are many ways I could have gotten $3.20. 0 quarters, 32 dimes, and 0 nickels. 0 quarters is $0. 32 dimes is $3.20. 0 nickels is 0. I add them up, I get $3.20. The problem is that the number of nickels, 0, is not 3 times the number of quarters. Or you might say, yes, 3 times 0 is 0. But you know what? The number of dimes is not 7 more than 0, the number of quarters. 0 plus 7 is not 32. So there's lots of ways to get some of these conditions met. But there's only one way to get them all met at the same time. And in this case, at 5 quarters, 12 dimes, and 15 nickels. That would do it perfectly. Okay, and that actually completes the section on mixture problems.